Hey guys, it's Mrs. Finn, and you just finished watching John Cage's 4 minutes 33 seconds. Believe it or not, that is considered, and he is considered one of the 20th century's most influential composers, and that is one of his most famous pieces. I remember being in college and studying that piece. And I want to tell you a little bit about his life. He lived to be almost 80 years old. He was born in 1912 and died in 1992. He was born in Los Angeles, California, so he is an American composer, artist, music theorist, and philosopher. He started taking piano lessons in the fourth grade at school, and he studied with many of his family members, but most notably his aunt. Um, and he obviously had a very interesting style. He was very interested in exploring what could be music, and he wanted to make sure that his audience understood that they were surrounded by sounds and that everything they do could actually be music. He was always experimenting with different sounds, electronic music, using tape, like letting the musicians change the order of the songs they were performing. And he really wanted people to think about music as being like zero thought. So like you could throw some dice or make a star chart or just think about different ways to randomly compose music, which made him a very interesting composer who had very different and unique ideas. He had a lot of different influences in his time. Henry Cowell and Arnold Schoenberg were two of his teachers. They kind of had some radical ideas as musicians as well. He was very interested in East and South Asian culture and in Indian philosophy, and those had huge influences on his composing. He also studied Zen Buddhism, which had an impact and influence on his music. He studied in Europe for 18 months. He went there and he really was interested in lots of things. He studied writing, art, poetry, music, architecture, and he really thought maybe he'd be an architect or an artist, but he found that people really liked his music better than that. So he was very inspired by modern dance and other musicians and painters and artists. Speaking of art, do you think this is art? Believe it or not, this plain white canvas, so this is called White Paintings, and it was created by the artist Robert Rauschenberg, and he is actually, these paintings right here are what inspired John Cage to write 4 minutes 33 seconds. So this artist had these blank canvases and he would put them in different combinations, and the paint was just regular house paint applied with a roller. And the result is that the canvas acts as a screen. So depending on where it is in the room and like the light and the shadows and the weather, he believed that it looked different. So this was his artwork, which kind of inspired 4 minutes 33 seconds. So I want to talk to you about another piece. You're about to watch another one of his famous pieces. It's called Water Walk. It was written for a number of unusual instruments, including a bathtub, blender, rubber ducky, watering can, a piano, a tape recorder, and 5 radios. So he is performing this on a 1950s game show called I've Got a Secret. And when you think about it, they gave him 10 minutes to do this. So the fact that this game show even gave him 10 minutes of airtime is pretty interesting. And you can hear like the audience laughing nervously, like they literally have no idea what to think if he's being serious or not. So that's what you're going to watch in a minute. And as you're watching, we'd really like to encourage you to be thinking as a music critic. You're going to fill out afterwards, you are going to fill out something where you get to decide, is John Cage a musical genius or is he a con man? And you're going to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. 1 being like, what is happening? And 5 being like, John Cage is amazing. So anytime you're deciding being a critic, you can't just say this is good or this is bad. That's not specific enough. You need to think about why it is good or bad. What can you comment on specifically? Did the music convey the emotion for the song? Did you enjoy the tempo, the melody, the rhythms, the instrument choices? Sometimes we may not like a certain genre, but that doesn't mean it's not good music. Like I don't particularly like heavy metal, but I could still hear a song and say, oh, that's a pretty good song, even if I don't personally like it. So as you watch Water Walk, think about what you think. 1 star all the way up to 5 stars being it's amazing. So there's a little bit of info about John Cage. I hope you enjoy watching Water Walk.